Everything begins with bizarre structures known as the Sky Towers appearing out of nowhere in the world 25 years ago. With that, humanity was dragged into a mysterious game system, while monsters immune to regular weapons emerged from these towers. When the human race seemed close to total extinction, some people who touched the towers awakened miraculous powers. Thus emerged the so-called class holders to fight this great threat. But before they could even celebrate the temporary relief, a terrible, incurable illness began to spread near the structures. Fortunately, a doctor managed to extract a remedy using materials collected from the invading monsters themselves. However, the medicine only alleviated the symptoms, temporarily forcing humanity to climb the floors of the towers in search of a cure. Following this relentless search for a definitive cure, everything changed with a new plan. Facing several reporters, young Master Yahello is asked if the material for the cure is really in the Abyssal Demon Tower. He confirms that defeating the Abyssal Dragon Mirabelos will bring the key item capable of eradicating the illness once and for all. The news leaves people hopeful, although they worry about the extremely high casualty rate of that dangerous tower. Demonstrating full confidence, the young master guarantees that they know the difficulties and have already prepared everything for the expedition. Then the important mission is entrusted to the mercenary, considered the strongest of all. In the heat of combat in the tower, the terrible dragon attacks violently with its gigantic tail. Using his vitality-burning skill, the marksman consumes his own life force to move at high speed and dodge. Activating his perception, the mercenary uses his innate ability to detect the weak point of the terrible opponent. With the weak point detected but with no way to get close, he fires a rain of arrows at high speed. He represents humanity's last hope, being an extremely skilled level 99 marksman. The legendary warrior's name is Lin Xiu, known to everyone as Deadeye for his impeccable accuracy. He coughs with difficulty while being grabbed by the monster's tentacles, but keeps his focus on the battle. He wonders if he has truly failed, feeling the heavy pressure of the fatal enemy. At that moment, he finally finds an opening and activates a legendary strike that consumes his life force to deliver a finishing blow. A system message congratulates Lin Xiu for managing to clear the 100th floor of the dangerous tower. After the combat, the terrible Abyssal Dragon Mirabelos is defeated and grants a powerful legendary shield. Gaining an immense amount of experience and several legendary equipment pieces, the hero sighs in relief for having won. Furthermore, the system announces that he has acquired the mysterious and valuable artifact of greed. Observing the glowing artifact, Lin Xiu realizes that he finally has in his hands the cure to save Xiaoyu. Suddenly, a voice comes out of nowhere praising the spectacular battle that just happened. A strong blizzard appears out of nowhere when the legendary extreme ice sword skill is activated against him. Surprised to see the ice forming around him, he tries to understand who is attacking him so treacherously. Revealing themselves amidst the blizzard, the traitors appear ready to corner the exhausted warrior. Totally frozen and unable to react, Lin Xiu is left completely at the mercy of the group that ambushed him. He reels in pain from the extreme effort and the unexpected betrayal of those he trusted. Without the strength to fight, he ends up letting the precious artifact of the cure slip from his hands. The level 99 arcanist Su Ying picks up the fragment with disdain and mocks how easy it was to steal it from Lin Xiu. In disbelief, Lin Xiu mutters the arcanist's name while demanding to know the reason for such a betrayal. She just stares at him coldly, finding his question amusing as if the answer were obvious. Suddenly, the rogue Wei Wuya appears blocking the way and asks sarcastically if he really does not know the reason. With that, the enemy steps hard on the hero's injured hand to humiliate him even more. He reveals that the Yahello Consortium always wanted the artifact of greed, and that a street rat like Lin Xiu should never have tried to negotiate with them. Glaring with pure fury at the traitor, Lin Xiu remains in absolute silence. The hero's silent fury only amuses his ruthless tormentors even more. Wei Wuya mocks his tough guy act, annoyed by the defiant look the warrior still maintains. Laughing insanely, the rogue delivers a brutal slash directly to Lin Xiu's eye. The rogue mocks the fallen warrior's #1 title, but is interrupted by a companion who asks him to stop. The one who interferes is Taishan, the robust Iron Wall warrior who leads the group's rearguard. He observes the fallen hero's deplorable state, commenting that there is not even a single piece of him left intact. Taishan complains coldly that such a destroyed body will have no selling value in the market. With that, the warrior warns that it is all Lin Xiu's own fault for rejecting the consortium's invitations in the past. The warrior explains that the sale of suppressors generates immense profits, so they would never allow a real cure to exist. Determined to finish the job, they order Wei Wuya to deliver the final blow. Feeling his end approaching, Lin Xiu deeply regrets his own weakness and naivety. He declares that they all deserve to perish, including the consortium and himself, for trusting traitors. Wei Wuya tells the hero to shut his mouth and learn his lesson in the next life, but is interrupted by a strange glow. An immense golden energy begins to emanate from Lin Zia's body, surprising the traders. Realizing the imminent danger, the villains fall into despair upon noticing that the hero intends to self-destruct with them. With the activation of the legendary Abyssal Descent, the warrior offers himself as a sacrifice to summon the abyss. While the system displays red alerts of imminent demise, memories of his sorrowful past invade his mind. He remembers when he became a class holder and fought tirelessly day and night to protect his little sister. He also recalls the acclaim of the people who treated him as a true hero and savior of humanity. Regret consumes the hero as he remembers that his beloved sister Xiaoyu hid her illness from him for a long time. She tried to comfort him by saying she was fine even while coughing a lot in her hospital bed. In his last memories, the young woman said she would finally stop being a burden to her brother. His sister asked him to live a good life, leaving the warrior wondering how he would do that without her. With that, the despair of other people begging for help also resonates in the warrior's tormented mind. He laments that the long-awaited cure was right before his eyes before being brutally stolen. The hero recalls his simple desires like buying nice clothes for his sister and ending the injustices of the world. But those darn traitors from the consortium destroyed all his dreams of helping humanity. Overcome by an overwhelming fury, he curses all those who crossed his path and ruined his life. The colossal explosion consumes everything around in a devastating flash of pure destruction. However, an urgent system alert appears, detecting the hero's extremely strong desire to survive. The secret activation conditions are met, initiating the direct fusion with the powerful artifact fragment. A psychedelic and mysterious glow surrounds the mercenary's body while the fusion process is completed. Finally, the system issues an announcement, congratulating the player for acquiring the dangerous artifact of the sin of greed. Suddenly, the scene changes, and a regular bedroom's digital clock reads exactly 8:30 in the evening. With a loud bang, Lin Zia's hand smashes the digital alarm clock that read exactly 8:30 in the evening. Sitting up quickly in bed, he asks himself, startled, why he is there if he had just perished. Looking to the side in silence, the young man is intrigued by what he sees around him. Upon facing his own reflection in the mirror, the young man realizes in surprise that he has somehow rejuvenated quite a bit. A mysterious voice asks what choices he would make if he could start over, making Lin Ziu question who is there. From the shadows, a dark creature emerges, floating, and begins to calmly introduce itself. The huge dragon reveals its imposing form before the young man, who observes everything in silence. The monster identifies itself as Asmodeus, revealing itself to be the dreaded demon lord of greed. Deep in thought, Lin Ziu tries to figure out if the artifact of greed ended up fusing with his body at the moment of the explosion. At that moment, the demon lord proclaims that he will pull the boy straight into the deep abyss of greed. Promising to grant equivalent power, the entity makes the young man awaken a class even before entering the tower. But the monster merely questions with disdain the meaning of a simple combat class. Then a new system window shatters, revealing the legendary class of Lord of Greed. Holding the purple glow in the palm of his hand, he finds the whole absurd situation amusing. The system soon congratulates the player Lin Ziu for successfully awakening the hidden Lord of Greed class. A very strong purple energy begins to cover Lin Zia's arm in an impressive way. The system announces the automatic binding of the exclusive weapon called the Bow of Greed. Wielding the glowing bow, he is impressed to note that he can increase his maximum vitality just by shooting arrows. The demon lord warns him not to celebrate yet, as any great power always demands an equivalent price. With that, a daily quest appears demanding 30,000 accurate shots in 24 hours to satisfy the weapon's desire. The creature mocks him, saying that an ordinary person could never meet that goal even if they worked their fingers to the bone. Explaining the rules, he says the shots only count when draining vitality from targets, making it hard to find that many living creatures nearby. With a threatening look, Asmodeus warns about the terrible punishment if the young man fails to fulfill the daily goal. The demon reveals that for every single arrow missed, the boy will be sent for 1 hour to the terrible demonic prison of greed. But he also offers the option to give up the title to live in peace with his sister, using the memories of his past life. Meanwhile, the day dawns quietly in the surroundings of the boy's residence. Suddenly, a noise at the bedroom door catches Lin Zia's attention, and he looks back curiously. His younger sister Xiaoyu opens the door, complaining about the noise so early, and asks if he is trying to bring the house down. The girl suddenly gets totally confused upon seeing her older brother's unusual attitude. Pointing at the broken alarm clock, she complains indignantly about the extra expenses given their tight budget for the month. Overcome by emotion, Lin Ziu pulls his sister into a tight and sudden hug, leaving the young woman surprised. He is deeply thankful that she is alive and well, right there by his side, feeling an immense relief in his heart. She still cannot understand the reason for so much sudden affection right after waking up. Pushing her brother lightly, the girl complains about all that drama looking like a final farewell. Finding it amusing, the MC agrees, knowing that she still has no idea about the terrible illness that will affect her in 1 year. As the girl walks away to prepare breakfast, the hero silently swears that he will do everything to change destiny. Watching his sister's steps, he fills with determination to face any challenge that comes his way. At that moment, loud knocks on the door begin to echo throughout the whole house, interrupting the warrior's thoughts. A harsh voice from outside shouts the young man's name, ordering him to open the door immediately. Recognizing the hostile tone of voice of the debt collectors, the boy prepares for the imminent confrontation. Frightened, the young woman warns that the collectors are back, but her brother calmly asks her to stay behind him. The thugs barge into the place, demanding the payment of the debt that is 3 days late, claiming that their boss is furious. Out of patience for talking, the leader of the group orders the other thugs to grab the boy by force. Glaring at the invaders, Lin Zhu remembers perfectly how these scumbags ruined his life in the past. He recalls the cowardly assaults he suffered from those men before managing to awaken his powers. In the memory, the boy takes a brutal beating, even after stating that he had already paid off the entire amount he owed. The criminals laughed out loud at the situation, while his sister desperately begged them to stop the violence. Back in the present, the MC coldly questions the reason for the visit, since the debt has already been paid. The leader mocks the young man's statement, saying that he is still very far from paying off everything he owes. With that, the boy questions about the abusive interest charges that had never been mentioned before. The collector just stares at him with disdain, caring little about the debtor's complaints. He states that those are the rules of the business, and that it is the kid's own fault for borrowing money. At that moment, one of the thugs pulls out a sharp knife to intimidate and force the young man's obedience. The thug orders him to kneel and beg for forgiveness immediately if he wants to get out of there in one piece. Worried, the girl warns her brother that all those men are dangerous class holders. But the hero just holds the blade of the knife with his bare hands without showing any fear. He knows very well that things will be completely different this time. Even though his attributes seem normal on paper, the warrior feels a massive surge of power in his body. The Demon Lord highlights that the Special Lord of Greed class multiplies his growth tenfold. However, the entity warns that he will not gain attribute points by leveling up like the others. The only way to evolve is by completing the greed quests, this being the fastest path to getting strong. Annoyed by the boy's audacity, the thug charges forward, swearing and preparing to attack. Calling them leeches, the hero warns that things have changed, and that he is no longer the same as before. With a single extremely violent strike, he throws the heavyset thug far away, shocking everyone. The other criminals are paralyzed upon seeing the unbelievable strength demonstrated by the young man. Seeing their companion knocked out on the floor, the thugs yell out in concern over their ally's condition. The boy's sister watches everything, impressed, and asks how he managed to get so strong all of a sudden. Another thug charges furiously, delivering a flying kick to try to avenge his defeated partner. The enemy shouts that he is going to show the huge difference between an ordinary person and a class holder. At that moment, the purple mark of greed glows intensely on the back of the MC's hand. The boy states that he has no time to waste with them and delivers an overwhelming blow wrapped in purple energy. The opponent backs away, badly injured and scared, realizing that the young man has also awakened powers. Totally surprised, the girl wonders to herself when her brother became a class holder. Then the long-haired thug takes the front line holding a glowing baton. The enemy fires a blast of energy, telling the boy not to get too cocky before being taken down. Lin Zhu easily dodges the purple energy attack, leaving the long-haired enemy surprised by the young man's great agility. Taking advantage of the opening, the hero advances quickly and lands a critical blow, making the opponent reel in pain. With that, the leader of the collectors watches everything in shock, realizing that all his thugs were defeated in the blink of an eye. Giving him no time to react, the MC delivers a brutal kick, knocking the opponent to the ground with extreme ease. With a devastating impact, the boss of the group is thrown far away, unable to withstand the overwhelming force of Lin Zia's new power. Desperate upon seeing his fallen allies, the last thug standing screams in terror before the warrior, who keeps advancing. Then the man wonders where such a powerful warrior came from and curses his own luck for having crossed his path. Determined to bet everything on a final attack, the collector activates his fire skill, shouting that he is going to take the boy down with him. But before the enemy can even move, the tip of a purple arrow appears right against his face, completely stopping his action. Lin Zhu coldly warns that if the smoke detector makes a single peep, he is going to chop the guy into 110 pieces and hang him on the fence. Feeling the end approaching, the collector completely gives up. With that, the flames that covered his body extinguish instantly, leaving only a tense silence in the room. Humiliated, the leader falls to his knees, begging for his life and declaring his total surrender to the young marksman. The MC asks if the fight is over and orders him to go back to deliver a direct message to his real boss, adding that if they keep bothering his family, the consequences will be much worse on their next visit. With that, the hero gathers an immense amount of purple energy in his hand, making it clear that he is not messing around. The collector stares at that demonstration of power, completely terrified, unable to muster any defensive reaction. Then the boy fires a powerful glowing blast right through the bedroom window, lighting up the entire neighborhood. And he warns that he will personally pay them a visit to put a definitive end to this debt-collecting business. He orders the leader to pick up the two unconscious thugs from the floor and leave his house immediately without looking back. Wasting no time, the desperate man agrees and runs away, dragging his allies out of there as fast as he can. Watching the scene in silence, the young sister is still shocked by the strength and ruthless attitude her brother just demonstrated. She stares at him suspiciously. Curious, she asks if he was not possessed by some immortal being, making the boy laugh and say she has been reading too many novels. The hero guarantees that he is her legitimate brother, thinking to himself that a reincarnation should not count as possession. But the worry soon returns to the girl's face, who calls out to her brother in a hesitant tone about the danger they are still in. She reminds him that the defeated men belong to the dreaded Zhang Yang, which will surely bring heavy retaliation from the rival group. The figure of Zhang Yang appears an extremely violent level 25 berserker who leads the powerful tiger gang. Noticing the MC's dark look, the girl asks, frightened, what he is scheming with such a serious expression. He tries to calm her down with an affectionate pat on the head, saying it is just a minor problem, while she complains for him to stop. Suddenly, the young man notices something strange and quickly shifts his gaze to his younger sister's arm, going on high alert. With that, the hero suddenly grabs the girl's wrist, leaving her totally confused by that abrupt reaction. A terrible purple spot is revealed on her arm. He realizes in anguish that his sister's severe illness is manifesting much earlier than it did in his past life. Trying to hide her injured arm, the young woman quickly pulls her hand back to prevent him from investigating further. She pretends everything is fine and asks him not to worry, trying to minimize the severity of that terrible infection. Then the girl steps away, saying she is going to change clothes and prepare breakfast, leaving the boy deep in thought in the bedroom. The MC remembers that the rival gang acts as the right hand of a large corrupt corporation to do dirty work. With fury in his eyes, the boy swears that he will collect every single penny of the debt they owe him, starting with the gang leader. He bitterly recalls that in the past, he had no money for the treatment which led to his beloved sister's tragic passing. But with the chance to start over from scratch, the warrior is totally determined to rewrite this story of suffering. Knowing exactly where to find the secret of the cure, he focuses his thoughts on the valuable item kept in the dangerous structure. The hero mentally reveals that the medicine to save her life is hidden in a secret area on the first floor of the tower. Meanwhile, furious shouts echo straight from inside the imposing headquarters of the dreaded Fierce Tiger. The organization's leader smashes the ground in rage upon learning that 3 professional hunters were defeated by a common kid. Wielding his heavy club, the boss demands explanations on how his men could get beaten up in such a shameful way. He rants furiously, saying he does not spend rivers of money on incompetent thugs for them to lose so easily. Trembling with fear, the subordinate tries to defend himself by explaining that the young man possesses an unbelievable and extraordinary strength. Not wanting to hear another cheap excuse, the muscle-bound giant simply raises his heavy fist, ready to punish the failure. With a relentless strike, he hits the thug who is trying to justify himself, showing that he tolerates no weakness in his group. The thug ends up knocked to the ground, completely battered, serving as a cruel example to all the other members present. The boss mutters about his men's incompetence. Then he declares in an imposing tone that no one has the right to cause trouble within the territory dominated by his gang. The subordinates watch the display of cruelty in absolute silence, too terrified to dare say a single word. The boss angrily orders them to stop hesitating and bring the young man responsible for the humiliation before him immediately. Faced with the direct order, the thugs run desperately to complete the mission and avoid their ruthless leader's fatal fury. He warns himself that anyone who dares to provoke his wrath will feel the terrible consequences on their own skin. Meanwhile, at the entrance of a luxury condo, a suspicious mustached guard spots the 2 siblings approaching the place. The security guard humiliates the youths for their simple appearance, telling them to look in the mirror before trying to enter the premises. He arrogantly states that poor people like them do not even have the right to know the residents of that rich condominium. Worried, the girl asks if they got the condo's address wrong, but the MC stays calm in the face of the situation. The guard laughs victoriously and accuses them of being thieves trying to break into the place to steal, making the situation even tenser. A dangerous glint appears in the hero's eyes. The young man coldly orders the guy to take his hands off him and call the owner so he can confirm his identity himself. Out of patience, the boy twists the arrogant security guard's arm, making the man cry out in pain and beg to be let go right away. He warns in a threatening tone that if the guard does not back off immediately, the consequences will be painful for the aggressor. At that moment, the piercing honk of a pink imported sports car begins to echo through the main gate, interrupting the fight. The pink-haired driver complains irritably about the delay, yelling at the staff for blocking the entrance to the condo. He steps out of the vehicle, showing off his arrogance, and demands to know why the main gate still has not been opened for his passage. The security guard rushes to apologize, falsely blaming the two siblings for the delay by claiming he was detaining two trespassers. Surprised when looking closely, the driver recognizes the MC as his former classmate named Wang. The guard tries to suck up, saying he was about to kick those poor kids out of there for trying to pass themselves off as his relatives. But the rich young man's reaction is pure fury, leaving the employee completely terrified, without understanding the reason for such anger. With a violent kick, the rich boy attacks the incompetent security guard and rants, asking who was the idiot that hired that blind fool. He orders the guard to crawl out of his sight immediately and swears to protect the honor of his esteemed friend Lin Xiu. Lin Xiu remembers that Wang Yu, his best friend from college, and heir to a wealthy family, awakened as a shield knight in his past life. Because of that, he ended up gaining a lot of fame and respect among the other people who had also awakened their combat classes. However, the memories about that friend's fate bring a thoughtful and melancholic expression to the protagonist's face. Unfortunately, Wang Yu was betrayed and used as a human shield on the 58th floor, which led to his family's ruin and his parents' tragic end. Cutting his thoughts short, the young heir calls out his friend's name upon noticing that he was totally zoned out. At that moment, Wang Yu wants to know what kind of trouble he got into to go looking for him right now after so much time. Then the MC calmly reveals that he just beat up Zhang Yang's thugs, leaving his buddy in shock. He asks irritably why he provoked a mad dog like that, warning that this is a gigantic problem. With that, the friend suggests they go talk at his place, since it is safer, but Lin Xiu replies simply that everything is fine right there. Watching the two of them converse in silence, the hero's younger sister shows a lot of apprehension about that whole situation. He asks his buddy to take care of his sister for a few days, while he personally resolves the problem with the rival gang. Hearing this, Wang Yu gladly agrees to help, but is intrigued by the fact that the MC does not want to take shelter with them. But the warrior explains that he has much more urgent matters to resolve, and that he needs to enter the Sky Tower immediately. Not understanding, the rich young man asks if it is a board game, but the girl proudly reveals that her brother has awakened his powers. He is shocked and wants to know if it is true, while the girl confirms it, saying that her brother easily defeated 3 warriors. Seeing his friend still unresponsive from so much astonishment, the MC simply keeps his gaze focused on his own goals. He plans to enter the dangerous structure to get his sister's cure, determined to change her and his friend's destiny in this new life. At that moment, the hero swears to himself that he will not only change his own path, but will save them all from a tragic end. While he rambles, the two whisper about his sudden change in behavior, making the warrior complain about the gossip. Guaranteeing that the rival thugs will not dare step foot there, the young man says goodbye and announces that he is leaving immediately. Then he stops for a moment at the door and calls out to his friend to give one last important piece of advice before leaving. The MC seriously warns that his buddy must never choose the Shield Knight class on his journey in the tower. With that, the two are left totally clueless in the face of such a specific and mysterious warning from the marksman. Arriving at the outskirts of the tower, several merchants loudly advertise potions, materials, and skills to the hunters. Walking through the busy black market, the hero observes all the local activity in search of what he really needs. Further ahead, an elderly seller shouts, offering high-quality defensive shields and guaranteeing total honesty in his sales. Other stalls also advertise their products at fair prices, trying to attract the new challengers who are arriving. A scammer tries to sell poison for giant rats, but the MC counters by saying that those monsters are immune to toxins. The lying seller and his sidekick are amazed by his knowledge, wondering if they just found an expert. The scammers mock his simple clothes, not knowing that he is the warrior who took down their gang of debt collectors. Ignoring the criminals' malicious provocations, the boy stays focused towards the gigantic entrance of the magical structure. Looking up, the young man contemplates the imposing building, remembering that the first floor has already been entirely conquered. A decade ago, that structure appeared on the planet, and the initial floors are already well known by all local adventurers. Surrounded by an intense and bright blue energy, he steps through the entrance portal to begin his new rescue journey. He recalls that in just 1 week, a mysterious secret world would be discovered by pure chance inside that very same floor. In his previous life, a group of rookies from the corrupt consortium ended up finding that hidden area full of dangers. With the conquest, they managed to obtain a valuable active crystal core, which caused a real uproar in the entire city. The most important thing is that this powerful fragment possesses the unique and miraculous property of completely curing the terrible infection. Knowing this, the warrior's eyes gleam with pure determination as he plans to steal the glory from that huge corporation. Stepping into the ruins of the abandoned city on the first floor, the boy swears to grab the item before his rivals to save his sister's life. He observes the vast destroyed scenery around him, feeling a strong wave of nostalgia upon seeing that place again after so many years. The wind blows hard through the cracks of the crumbled buildings, creating a tense and silent atmosphere over the entire region. With so many identical ruins, finding the correct path is almost impossible for others, but he remembers exactly where to go. Suddenly, several pairs of glowing red eyes begin to appear from the shadows of the rubble around him. He notices the monsters approaching and mutters that they showed up much faster than expected for that location. A horde of giant mutant rats leaps from their hiding spots toward the intruder, hungry for fresh meat. The boy knows that these are the most common monsters in that starting area, serving as the ideal warm-up for his mission. At that moment, the hero begins to summon his powerful spiritual weapon, making a strong purple energy gather in his hands. He smirks and announces that he will use the creatures to start fulfilling the massive shooting goal of his daily quest. With a swift motion, the young man fires the first magical arrows, which cut through the air with extreme speed and precision. He maintains a firm stance while the bow of greed pulses intensely with a purplish hue ready for the next shot. One of the beasts attempts a violent aerial strike from behind, but he simply watches its trajectory with total calmness. Pulling the magical bowstring, once more the marksman focuses his power on a single spot to ensure a critical hit. The accurate shot pierces the monster's skull in midair, making it plummet to the ground among the other creatures in the horde. The system notification pops up on the screen confirming the quick elimination and granting him 15 experience points. He wonders how many shots he has already taken, while the window shows that his maximum vitality increased after the successful attack. However, the noise of the combat ends up attracting an even larger number of mutant rodents, which begin to surround the entire block. The monsters bare their sharp fangs and charge together in a coordinated attack to try and corner the invader all at once. Faced with that absurd amount of opponents covering the ground, the hero finds himself in the middle of a literal sea of hungry monsters. He is intrigued by the presence of so many creatures gathered in that spot, since that was not normal for the first floor. Giving the boy no time to think, the giant rodents desperately leap to try and attack him from all sides. With impressive agility, the boy jumps backward and starts delivering a rapid series of precise point-blank shots. Each purple arrow that hits the targets grants a constant bonus to his physical stamina, increasing his health bar right on the spot. With that, the marksman easily dodges 2 critical bites, while continuing to blast the opponents without hesitating. Moving like a true battle phantom, he fires continuous projectiles that wipe out the front lines of enemies. Upon noticing the endless number of beasts, the warrior reflects that the numbers are far more absurd than in his past. He thinks that if the starting level was this dangerous in his past life, he surely would have fallen right at the beginning. But the scenario is totally different now due to the divine arsenal and the superior skills he carries with him. With that, the MC flaunts his reputation as the strongest mercenary in the world and prepares to unleash a devastating attack. He knocks several purple energy arrows at the same time in an intimidating manner, daring the horde to try and attack him again. Then he releases the bowstring, firing a literal rain of glowing projectiles that cover the entire battlefield. The boy declares with a thirst for battle that this amount of shots is still far from enough to satisfy his goal. He shouts that he can hunt way more monsters there, while the rain of arrows eliminates dozens of targets consecutively. The beasts' bodies begin to turn into pure mana dust as they are hit by the purple energy shots. Seeing the shot counter rising quickly, the hero laughs out loud and orders all the monsters to become health points for him. Lin Xiu observes the progress of his daily quest on the system window and notices that he has already taken over 10,000 shots with just over 10 hours remaining. At that moment, an alert announces that he has reached level 5 and can choose between critical vision, split arrow, and swift steps, making him opt for the split arrow. But the boy merely shows a confident expression, indicating that he has a totally different plan in mind for that skill choice. With that, he decides to get all 3 at once, activating his hidden trait of avarice that extracts everything upon leveling up. Then the hero clenches his fist as the system confirms the learning of greedy critical vision, split arrow, and swift steps. Activating the greedy critical vision skill, the MC focuses his glowing eyes on the scenery ahead to analyze the opponents. He can see the level and the information of the mutant giant rats that are approaching, noticing that none of them are carrying items. Using the swift step skill to move at high speed, the boy complains that the drop rate of the beasts is still terrible. At that moment, several angry monsters run toward him trying to corner him, while letting out high-pitched squeaks through the city ruins. The warrior wields his glowing spiritual bow, getting ready to deliver a quick counterattack against the approaching enemies. Activating the split arrow skill, he fires a purple energy projectile that multiplies into several critical shots through the air. Upon impact, the struck beasts are completely pulverized by the rain of energy, turning into dust right in their tracks. Suddenly, the marksman stops his movements upon noticing something strange happening around him in the darkness of the ruins. From the deepest shadows, new squeaks begin to echo, while dozens of red eyes appear watching his every step. Realizing that the first group retreated, the young man deduces that the creatures are just preparing a new attack and finds it very annoying. Suddenly, an extremely fast attack hits the boy, surprising him with the speed of the enemy charge. He realizes that the short interval between the charges indicates the approach of a completely different pack of creatures. At that moment, the hero notices that the monsters manage to flank him, completely surrounding him from all sides. Unable to use his swift steps because they are on cooldown, he plans to jump away to escape the encirclement. But upon being hit by several consecutive strikes, he is surprised to realize that the damage taken is insignificant. Then a thought pops into his mind as he remembers the absurd advantages of his new combat attributes. Looking at his gigantic and almost intact health bar, the boy realizes that he has absolutely nothing to fear there. With total confidence, the MC challenges the monsters to come at him with everything they have. Several energy shots cut through the darkness, hitting the opponents with a devastating and relentless force. He mocks the situation, challenging the monsters to test if their numbers are greater than his own health, stating that this pack will not be enough to satisfy him. Suddenly, a much louder squeak echoes from the depths as a gigantic creature appears before the hero.